Hello everyone, welcome back to another Summoner Scuffle. We have two returning contestants today, the two champions of the Fungal Dwarves. It is Aaron versus Prophet. Fuzzy, what would you have to say, Aaron? I'm joined by Fuzzy Marmot, as always.
Hi, as always.
What would you have to say about these two and what they've been doing around the Summoner Wars scene?
Well, 2 weeks ago, we broke out our time machine, fast forwarded to Aaron's first ever league victory. So, congratulations to the new league champ.
Woohoo!
And we decided it was time to get him on the scuffle again. And out of the goodness of our hearts, because who wouldn't want to face a worthy opponent, we got Prophet as that opponent. So these guys are at the very top of their Summoner Wars game. They're both known for playing Fungal Dwarves. Ben cruelly nixed my suggestion of a Fungal Dwarves versus Fungal Dwarves matchup, and we landed on Fungal Dwarves versus Fallen Kingdom instead. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm just really impressed with both these guys, and I'm also really looking forward to the matchup. Despite the utter lack of faith on Discord that this thing is going to be a barn burner rather than an endless slog.
If there was ever a time for someone to time out in a scuffle, it would be today. Uh,
Yeah.
this
We offered them more time, and they said, we can handle this. We can take
which
this on in a 45-minute match.
which I'm excited to see it. And yeah, I feel
Can,
like yeah, go ahead.
no. I'm just saying, Vexer would have been sensible enough to say no. Like, just no thanks.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of players are like sort of skeptical of the clock, and both Aaron and Prophet are people I've talked to. Like I've played some 45 minute games with Prophet, and he was like, yeah, an hour would probably be better. I don't know if Aaron has an official take, but he's definitely called me crazy for wanting to play 45 minute games of Fungal Dwarves before, and but he was willing to take it on.
Well, you
And
notice he's Fallen Kingdom, not Fungal
he
Dwarves.
is Fallen Kingdom, but he did say he left the choice to Prophet in the end, so he was willing to play all the factions.
And he was also one of the two lonely, sad, and brave people who predicted on Discord that this matchup would be a barn burner rather than a grind. So I don't know
Hmm.
what you say to that.
Hmm. Yes, yes, interesting. And I am personally very satisfied to have these two on with this matchup because even though I know these are two great players that play all sorts of factions, like when I first really started like seeing more in the Discord was right basically when Fungal Dwarves and Eternal Council came out. That was like when I started being active, and then like you always heard over and over again, you got the two kings of Fungal Dwarves, like the best players are Aaron and Prophet, and that's just like internalized in the back of my brain. It cannot be erased. So I'm happy to have these two talking about Fungal Dwarves, and more than that, we got the other infect deck as well. When we were chatting with like Prophet was saying that that the infect just mechanic just like really clicks with him, and he really liked it. So he was super hyped when the Fungal Dwarves came out, and Aaron as well. Like I forget what he says his statistics are. Like I think he said he's played like over 2,000 games, but like is it over? I'm just gonna botch this, but like at least like 800 Fungal Dwarves games or like something insane, like just like so many Fungal. Like he has almost as many Fungal Dwarves games under his belt as I have just all time Summoner Wars experience, which is absolutely nuts. Cannot fathom
Yes.
it.
I'll say this too. You know, if this game is a grind, I look forward to commentating the grind with you. I trust you to help make this interesting, comprehensible, and fun. And I mean, I think a lot of people find both these factions extraordinarily aggravating. Like, what's your most hated faction? One of these. Like, I don't know how to play them. I don't know how to play against them. Why won't they go away? Why do I keep queuing into them? Like, what is the deal with them? You know,
Yeah.
what is even going on the battlefield?
Yeah.
So I trust you, Ben, to help make it interesting and fun.
It's infect is so much fun. So satisfying. I love it. And I don't want to like go into the nuance of the matchup before we've talked about the factions, but like I think this matchup is wild, if not like potentially just one of the most like complicated and weird matchups that you can just possibly play in Summoner Wars. And I could be wrong about all of that, but I think it'll be real interesting to talk about. But let's go ahead and just talk about the factions themselves before we mix them together with others. Oh my goodness, I say this and then like I pull up my computer and the internet is like on the laptop.
Oh.
It's like it's not loading. Are you seeing this on my stream?
Yes.
Well, that's pretty unfortunate. I don't know what's going on there. Well, let's stall for a few seconds.
Oh my
What
goodness.
is going
I
on?
promised myself that we would not have any more of these little IT moments, at least not the ones under our control, and I don't know what you do about something like that.
We got zero. I mean, at least it's the IT moments that like make me go crazy is when there's something going wrong with the stream. But I'll it's if it's just the internet on my laptop, that's fine. I can live with that. But the stream going down will send me into a panic attack. All right, I think this is up. Let's talk about. I guess we have to talk about Fallen Kingdom first. They were the original infect deck. Um, so Fallen Kingdom, like, and I feel like I have such a bias. So just like disregard like everything I'm saying. But Fallen Kingdom was my favorite deck in the master set, and what like the first deck that I played where I was like, oh, this game's gonna be fun. Like I want to play this immediately. I want to play this deck just because of the combos. Like I immediately, my friend was playing the deck, and I immediately saw, oh, you purge your own units to do damage, and then you like purge a bunch of your own units. Your warriors go to 7 attack, and then they hit really hard, and oh, that's a combo. That's awesome. I love combos. And Sacrificial Pyre, you get to heal your summoner because you're constantly damaging your summoner to raise the dead. So like you got combos with killing your own units. That's cool. And so how that's manifested with Ret Talus is like sacrifice dark in order to fire, in order to lots of burst damage everywhere. It's terrifying. And so like so one of the biggest tricks they have up their sleeve is blood summon, which allows you just to reach areas that like you otherwise would not, like even a summoner super far back, like blood summon might be able to get a warrior in their face, and if there's ever a warrior in their face, that might be 7 dice. And there's always Hellforged Weapon to do even more. But then Purge is like just the craziest card for like if there's a blocker in front of the summoner, oh, we can probably purge it out of the way with a bunch of damage, and then either like Undead Archer Soul Shift in to do some more damage, and or a warrior hits for really big, and so all of that is just the general dark fire combos, but that's like not even talking about what's maybe the star of the show is the undead carrier. uh, the undead carrier is just infect is really good as it turns out. It like just infect, you can either be enemy units or your own units, just turn it into another carrier. You do need to have carriers in your discard pile, but the undead carrier is really the fuel that this deck needs to just have a bunch of extra units that can be sacrificed to do cool things. So because we're going to have a bunch of extra units, this whole horde of zombies, it's like, oh, it's totally fine to purge a few because like now we have extra units to kill them for stuff that's good when we kill stuff. So carriers can be monsters. They're really tough to deal with in the end game. You sort of need to like they began the strategy of, oh, like infects is really strong. You really need to change how you play in order to counter it. Like you want to put big units in front of these carriers. Unfortunately, those big units will just be killed by warriors. But you don't just want to like put a bunch of put a bunch of 2/2s in front of a carrier to just like let them get a huge chain of infects. That will lose you the game. But it's nowhere near to what we start to see with Fungal Dwarves. But okay, that's sort of a scattered pitch for Ret Talus. Anything to add to that?
I'm just going to add that my experience was the opposite of yours in that
Funny.
I learned Fungal Dwarves first. Like, Fungal
Uh-huh.
Dwarves was the free deck for me. Um, and I didn't know better necessarily than to just dive into all the Fungal Dwarf complexity. And there wasn't a guide, so I had to hang out on the Discord and just pick up bits and pieces from the conversations that were going on as everyone was collectively trying to figure them out. So Fungal Dwarfs was really like my gateway into the game and the Discord and having an opinion and contributing insights and strats and, is just participating in this collective puzzle to solve. On the other hand, coming to Fallen Kingdom after Fungal Dwarves, but still as a relatively new player, I was just one massive pile of I don't get it. Like, I read the Summoner Warzone guide over and over and was just still like, this is just immense frustration. I don't know how to manage combos. I don't know how to manage my hand. I don't know how long I'm supposed to hold on to these cards. What do I do with this pile of random units that I have in my hand right now, or this event clogged hand? So I definitely had a really love-hate relationship with this matchup in the sense that I loved one faction and hated the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come back to Fallen Kingdom, I think, much later as I have, I think, a better understanding of how to manage combos. The hand management was definitely the last piece of the Summoner Wars puzzle that started to make sense to me. And it might still be my biggest weakness now, I'm not sure, but it was definitely the last thing to fall into place. And once it started falling into place, Fallen Kingdom became really, really interesting to rediscover again.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like hand management is the toughest part of Fallen Kingdom, and I feel like that's what I'm still struggling with to this day. Is like the combo pieces are so good, but you just have a hand of all events or all units. Like it's just you're just not doing what you want to do. But it feels so bad to like discard a purge or something, knowing how good it can
Exactly. And
be. Yeah.
exactly. So that's my take on Fallen Kingdom. And I think it's worth articulating that because a lot of people seem to feel that way. There's some people that hate it and some people that just do not get it.
Yeah.
And I've been in that I don't get it camp for so long that, I think I'd like to try to do them justice.
Yeah, both of these factions are just like on the high end of the complexity rating for sure. It's like the not the faction you want to hand to a beginner unless that's really their thing, which seems like in both your and my case it was, but for opposite factions. But we
Well,
should
it's which
yeah.
came first I think it's a matter of which came first. I wouldn't be that surprised that if Fallen Kingdom had come first for me, I would have just immediately gunned for the most complex deck because I could.
Yeah. But we should chat about Cool Duck for a second, then which came out I guess at the end of Wave 2. So we have the Master Set and then 6 factions in Wave 2. Cool Dock takes that infect on the carriers from the undead carriers for Fallen Kingdom to the next level with the Fungal Beast, which it's attacking for 3 and it doesn't have soulless. So you still get the magic, and also turns out it's a lot more consistent to be with 3 dice to kill your targets than with 2. So that's really nice. And you also just have it's just so cool. I just love this deck. This deck's great. Just if you just read the 2 cards in the starting setup, the Fungal Beast, where you just add a carrier, or you infect with carriers, and then the carrier that the Fungal Dwarfs have is a Spore Carrier, which if it gets 3 boosts on it, it ruptures and becomes a beast. So, we have an infinite chain. How do we get boosts? Just anytime a unit within 2 of Cool Duck dies, boost everything else within 2. Cool Duck is the master of just more beasts than you could ever possibly use ever. Um, just there's always a bajillion boosts with Cool Duck. And so like Cool Dock is just where Fallen Kingdom's complexity comes from, that like weird hand management stuff. Cool Dock just like takes it to the extreme with infect. There's so many ways this just like warps the game. You have to completely change how you play to play around these beasts. If you're letting Kuldak get too many easy infects, he's just going to carry away the game. Um, and you also sort of need to accept that Kuldak is really good at popping off and at some point in the game just like having way more units than ever seems killable, but these beasts also decay, and Kuldak can only move like 3 units in a turn, and so like sometimes a Kuldak board that seems just that like for against any other fact, like with any if any other faction had a board like that, it's like, oh, this game's over. But somehow it's not always the case with Kuldak. You can come back even when they go crazy. But so yeah, beasts and carriers have tons of units everywhere.
Night night, night, little guy. Night night,
Shaman sitting in the
Elias.
back. I'll mute you for a second. Shaman's sitting in the back, accumulating boosts and whatnot. And then mages are just a great ranged unit. Just like the only 4 attack ranged unit we have in the game so far. On a common. Is that wrong? Is that fake? I don't think that's
Well,
fake.
I mean, I consider border archers for attack for all intents and purposes.
Yes. For all intents and purposes, but yeah.
That's true. There's the champs. I mean, there's Hecatea, there's Admiral. Again, I consider Makenda Rue for attack, 4 bows.
Yeah.
Who else? But I agree, just a common with 4 attack and no stipulations. That's
with
crazy.
The number 4. With the number 4 on it.
The printed number 4.
That's where we go. So yeah, so these guys are masters of econ, especially if they're getting infects on your opponent, or the masters of just like creating value from nowhere. But also with that, we can get some demands. There's some possibility for burst damage. Stim Shrooms can let us have a little bit of extra movement if we need it. And sort of critically, Monstrosity is just a 5/13. And in most Fungal Dwarf games, in my opinion at least, like Monstrosity is gonna come out. That like it's almost, if the game is like at least going okay, it's gonna be pretty hard to prevent it. It's kind of just an inevitable force, and a lot of the times, and that it's tough to kill a 5/13. But
I would love to have asked Kowloon last time we had him on the Scuffle whether the playtesters predicted that Monstro would be an almost every game staple.
Yeah,
I think at the time they came out, it was sort of seen as this rare but powerful occurrence, and there were those couple playtesters that could seemingly always make Monstrosity come out, and now I think it's just part of what you expect from Fungal Dwarves.
Yeah, and if anything, it seems like I think it was the sort of thing where they like kept buffing it because it still seemed bad until it finally got this state. I'd have so many questions for the playtesters. I want to quickly, since like we're always gonna run out of time, I want to quickly talk about this matchup and Aaron's history with it as well, just so we don't run out of time, is because I've chatted with Aaron a fair bit about this matchup, and he said he's had a history with it. Let me see. summonerwars.com/ will it auto go to Tournament of Champions? Okay, it won't. But all right. Well, there's a Tournament of Champions page somewhere in the Summoner War zone. I think in the first Tournament of Champions it was Aaron versus Donkey in the finals. Am I getting? I wish I could pull it up if I'm getting it wrong. But
Search
I remember
the magnifying glass, Ben. That little magnifying glass in between rankings and my zone. The search button. You see that?
Okay. Turn.
So no. On the page. Yep. You were almost there. So no, maybe not. Okay, never mind.
It's fine. Well, the history is that Aaron took Fallen Kingdom Aaron took Fungal Dwarves against Donkey's Fallen Kingdom and lost. And he says that after that, like, he felt like he realized some critical things about the matchup, and then in a later date, I think it was the second Tournament of Champions. I might be getting that wrong though. He was he said he played out of his mind, and he was able to win with the Fungal Dwarves versus the Fallen Kingdom, but He's always said that it's actually a tough matchup for Fungal Dwarves, which is not something that I would find intuitive at all. It feels like the Fungal Dwarves, like beasts, should just like be better at infecting than undead carriers. But the reality seems to be the opposite. That actually undead carriers are better at infecting than beast, even though Cooldock is all about the infects, and some of that seems to be um, because of just imagining these units trading against each other. If you have a fungal beast sitting in front of an undead carrier, the fungal beast only has a 58% chance to go 3 for 3 on the undead carrier. But let's say the fungal beast like does that and then infects the carrier. Well, if there's just another undead carrier behind that, all it has to do is 2-on-2 in order to get that infect, and that's 69% chance. So just that difference of the 10% chance to get a 2-on-2 versus a 3-on-3 makes it slightly easier if it's just units grinding out against each other that undead carriers win that game. And that might be oversimplifying, and a lot of the, like me saying that just comes directly from Aaron, and I haven't verified all of that, but he's written some of that in this article, this How to Beat Cool Deck article that's on Summoner Warzone. Is he's written a little bit about why he sees this matchup as hard for Fallen Kingdom. It's because of what we just talked about, the infects being a little bit easier, and then some other tools that he's mentioned is purge. On purge, we can purge blockers to then be able to hit Cooldock with a big warrior, and that's bad. And also undead archers could soul shift if on your turn you kill a 3 boosted carrier, or you could soul shift in to stop a fungal transformation. So that's cool. So it's just a like so that's one take on the matchup. I tend to agree with it, but I feel like I need to play this matchup like 50 times before I would understand it. But that's just like a few of the ways in which like this just Fallen Kingdom might sort of have an edge uh, in this grind fest. But it's hard to understand, and I'll be really curious to see how this goes.
Oh, absolutely. I think that a lot of people have experienced this matchup in their league games. Did you sit out that season, Ben, or did you actually play it
Oh,
in
no,
league?
I was there. That's another thing I wanted to pull up. Yeah, so we did play it in league, and it ended up being 37-55 for
Oh,
for
wow.
yeah for the Fallen Kingdom. But yeah, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was going to ask you to pull up those stats. I mean, I think it's hard to tell from a lot of us who've only played that one season, that one matchup, to really see all these permutations of how it could play out. That happened to be one where I didn't practice it, which, I don't love playing league games where I just go in cold, but that week I had to. And both my games were short because my opponent was Jexic. So when the opponent tries to assassinate you, then your game is survive or don't survive. So I
Yeah.
actually don't feel like I got the full FD versus FK experience that season. And I think I did watch a few games and listen to some of the chatter in the Discord channels about this particular matchup. But my call is just that there's a lot of ways it can play out. There's a lot of probability math that you don't have to actually math out to get a feel for, oh boy, am I going to gradually win or gradually lose? When there's so many attacks, the hope is that the dice odds average out over time. When there's just potentially so many turns in a game. I think Aaron said that he's had FD versus FK games that go 60 turns. But at the same time, as always with FK, a lot depends on their draw. A lot depends on, when and how they massage their combos, what the board state is. And really, I would say in some ways, I don't want to say either is more in the driver's seat than the other, but it is definitely possible for FK to just put up, it's possible for both factions to put up a big early push and make it exciting. It's also possible that Koldak with Fungal Dwarves doesn't draw the pieces enough to stay alive doing that. And, Prophet's not going to make a suicide run charging upfield. And Fallen Kingdom, you really just never know. Like, you never know when they're going to explode on you, or whether they're just going to play that carrier game on you for a while and win the trades, as you said, in terms of like beast versus carrier infect standoff. So there's enough moving pieces that the 40% win rate in League doesn't tell me anything about how this particular game is going to go, especially when both these guys really play these factions at the very highest level, as far, in the collective opinion of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and give them the go-ahead to get started, but we can keep chatting
Awesome.
as we go.
And this time we'll make sure that not all four of us are standing around waiting for each other.
Yes. Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about the matchup. And yeah, like my League games were essentially enough to be like, wow, this matchup is crazy, and I do not know. And I do not know what's going on. And there's the link. So hopefully you can.
Okay. Yep. Well. I will pull that up in the interests of not being perpetually a second behind you. All right.
All right.
Hang on. Okay, hang on. I have to actually sign in, so you can keep talking. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. No worries. But yeah, like playing this matchup, I feel like it'll as Cooldock, you're expecting the grind. You always need to be aware of the fact that you could die, but like Cooldock is only gonna win by a grind. Like maybe there'll be some assassination, but Red Talus is very good at defending himself, at not getting assassinated at any point. But so, what Cooldock needs to do to win this matchup as a grind, and again, like take what I'm saying with with a grain of salt, but as I hypothesize, is you and what I've heard Aaron say is sometimes you need to not take the infects as Cooldock. Sometimes, like if you attack the carrier and you infect it, you're just giving them another undead carrier because they're better at infecting than you are. So like this is like the only Cooldock matchup there is where sometimes you'll kill an enemy unit with a beast, but you don't want to infect because it's bad for you, and that is just wild.
Yes. I do remember watching a couple League games like that and having that oh my god moment of like what do you mean you don't infect your every time you can get, every chance you can get. All right, so let's see what they do here. I would not consider this to be one of those don't infect moments because that gate spot, as we all know, is coveted. And all right, so let's see if this is Prophet's final decision. First of all, nope. Never.
Yeah,
and you can tell
yeah.
You can tell he's tempted to go for the board wipe and then realizes I'm playing the guy that wants stuff in my discard pile. I'm playing the faction where that undead archer is going to just come back. So this is more the econ formation where that beast is going to get a boost from the carrier kill. The carrier is going to hopefully kill the other carrier. And that shaman in back is going to sit there accumulating boosts. So this is one of those very standard Fungal Dwarf openings.
Yep, always always nice to get some boost and whatnot. Oh, I was like, wait, why didn't the beast get a boost? No, the beast spends the boost immediately. That's something in person is like, I always forget to remove the boost from the beast. uh, very, very easy to get in the habit there. But yep, and already we're gonna have the carrier face off of this carrier can just 2-on-2, and there we go. Now we start pinging at that beast. But so there's each like carriers can be so swingy because if you miss that 2-on-2, it's so bad. If and the same with the 3-on-3s. So but like there's gonna be so many of them in the game. Maybe it autos out, or um it's
Oh,
gonna yeah.
this is interesting gate placement. Well, what do you think of those? Oh,
I ooh, that's like
it's
what would
annoying.
you
It's
expect?
annoying,
Yeah.
but it's annoying, but you're you have to plan for the carrier going 1 for 2. You know, 0 for 2 is annoying, but it's not that different from 1 for 2.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm still thinking. I mean, I like the gates insofar as like it's just pressure. Like now, like cooldock always needs to be in the center of whatever diamond it is, and you always need to play around like a purge followed by a warrior punching him for 7. That's always gonna be bad. So like just having this gate like at least the one on our left side seems really good just to like just to threaten Cooldock from multiple angles if he tries to advance. I know Donkey sort of popularized the gate that's like that'd be in between, like just one space to our left of the 10 health Fallen Kingdom gate. Um, I always think
Like
about that as like
the two gates next to each other.
yeah, I always think about that as like the weird donkey play that I didn't understand, and I still don't understand, but seems to kind of work.
You know, I feel like I've just gotten so used to FK having two gates next to each other and Brett hiding behind them that, you know, I've never fully questioned, okay, why do you do that? You know, it's just something you see so often, at least in open queue.
Yeah,
All right. All
yeah.
right.
So
But let's,
we prioritized killing that carrier. The carrier went down. That's good, and we are also able to get the archer.
and
Yeah,
now we
cool
just have
decks.
two carriers hanging out into space.
Really quickly, let me look at discards. Yeah, so that first turn, Prophet discarded 2 cards. Aaron has not discarded a card yet. So that's like a very interesting element of this as well, and we'll see how many Prophet discards now. Of just like it's gonna be a grindy matchup, so you don't really want to discard a ton, but also Fungal Dwarves need to get their engine churning. Wow, Prophet discards another up to 7.
I so want Thune to come out. I don't think that's why he did it, though.
Probably not. We'll have to ask him what those
All
cards
right.
were discarded at the beginning.
Well, Aaron's just playing units right now. I mean, this, you know, if I had to guess his hand, it would just be I'm going to. I actually lost track of whether he's. I can't keep track of whether he's actively hanging on to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of looks to me, and tell me if I'm missing something, as just kind of early Fallen Kingdom play what you've got for the best trades you've got while you can.
Yeah, yeah. I went back and checked. He held 2 cards last turn. But yeah, Aaron is just notoriously a very patient player. Um, so this doesn't surprise me at all. The two. Wow. What are the odds we got another carrier in the pile? Surely not. No.
Never.
Oh my goodness. I have not been watching. That's wow, 3 carriers already is rough. So yeah, that entire turn is just like try to have carriers, and it seems like an essential part of like the Fallen Kingdom strategy is just like try to make those carrier waves last as long as possible. Like if you can just make it so there's always some carriers on the board, always infecting, like a one carrier can go a really long way in the right situation.
Oh, two carriers. I think that's what I hated about Fallen Kingdom at first is just the carriers healing each other.
It's rough. Yeah, 3 health carriers is a lot. Um,
I think by now it's just such the like I'm used to it now. I think I didn't like it thematically for a while. You know, like I don't get it. A carrier attacks an injured carrier, brings back another carrier. You know, yes, it's bringing it from the grave, but it's healing, so it's weird, and I don't want healing in the dark faction. All right, I love this. Tortugatron is just here to like hate watch this game. I am all about the hate watching.
there's
Tortugatron. No, go on.
no, it's just it's there's a lot of hate for these two factions. My two babies, I'll defend them. It's to the death. Prophet finally advancing here. Yeah, my head's still hung up on like just like how much do you want to discard and whatnot because Prophet is also a very conservative player with Cool Docker, like is also like I'll often just go forward, discard a ton of cards because I'm really scared to get that engine running. And Aaron and Prophet are both good at just being patient and building up the engine in the back. All right, we got some attacks here and got the infect. I wonder what we do. Hit the archer? Yeah. This is scary because that carrier is just going to go right back. This game is going to take so long. I don't think, like... like, it's just going to be carriers trading with each other for, like, 40 turns.
They're playing relatively quickly, though. I mean, they know that this thing is going to just have this early wave feature. I know what we all blood summon two warriors. Yeah, I feel like with the right hand, Prophet just loses next turn. It is scary. Like, that is blood summon bait. I would definitely not mind asking Prophet what he thought the odds were at that point, just leaving Koldak's flank open like that.
And I also recall Prophet saying that for live games he likes to live a little bit more on the edge than he does in async games. So it's entirely possible that if this was an async game, he would not be willing to take a risk like that.
And I think that's what the live games have helped do for the community is like none of us necessarily want to overthink to the extent we do in serious, async games. I'm so prone to the half-hour turn. But
Yeah.
live games, like, you just follow your instincts. You know that you're doing slightly riskier things, but you also trust your instinctive sense of the math that you're not going to do anything outrageously crazy, outrageously wrong or suboptimal. And I do enjoy that about I think it's a different skill set. It's not just, async is the highest art form when you've overthought every single turn. It's like, no, this is as valid. This is improv.
Yeah, I always have the preference for live games. It's really interesting. No way there's 4 carriers already.
If that's
no way there's
right.
4 carriers. Okay. Oh, it's
okay. It's a soul shift.
Yay, another zombie. Tortugatron once again enthusiastic about the zombies and not sarcastic at all.
Tortugatron is here for us. Like, well, if we dig our own grave with this matchup, Tortugatron will laugh at us till the bitter end. He'll mock us till the bitter end, I should say.
You could really, like, man, you said 60 turns?
Like I said, they're for async, they're playing, or for a live game that we can no longer see the timers of, they're playing at a relatively brisk pace. I do miss
Yeah.
having the chess clock just so I know where we are on time.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Joe removed that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're both aware that, the early game is going to go on for a while.
Yeah, and Prophet seems comfortable just staying back. Yeah, and they're both aware that, like, you're gonna need that time. You're gonna need every second of it in this matchup. This is like maybe the most grindy matchup you could possibly play.
Even if these three carriers win the infect war in the midfield, that shaman back there is just going to be sitting there accumulating boosts over the course of the game. That was a turn one decision that,
Yeah.
even though, if you saw the first choice Prophet made, like, man, I want to kill everything, I want to wipe the board,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
took it all back and was like, nah, I'm going to let that shaman soak up boosts so in the back.
Yeah.
I always say that the early turns are more consequential than people realize. Both the early turns and the early dice rolls. So not surprisingly, Prophet's committed to the long game. I mean, what else, what other choice does he have? And I think it's also not that surprising that Aaron's basically maintaining position in the midfield. Like, those carriers aren't going to win him the game at this point. Early carriers aren't going to win you the game. They're there to buy you time to win the game. Late carriers can definitely win you the game, and it feels awful.
Yeah, yeah.
But neither of these guys are shying away from each other either. Those are 5 gates placed as aggressively as you can without moving the summoner forward. And it's a wide battlefield, too.
Oof. That'll hurt, missing that carrier. Yeah, I mean, 2 carriers at 1 health. All right, probably can't heal both of them, so that's something. That's something at least.
Small mercies. And it's not like Prophet is hurting for magic either.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's count, like, how many turns it is until Aaron plays another carrier. Like, if we consider this to be just like one wave of, like, how long does it take for Prophet to exterminate this line of undead carriers before the next one comes? Because they're really the sort of thing, like, you want to stomp them out all at once, and you leave one alive, and suddenly, oof, there's a bajillion again. And that's normally what you say about Fungal Dwarves, but not this time.
Yeah, how to kill all the Fallen Kingdom carriers at once is one of those classic... What is it? Like the puzzle you have to solve every single game.
Yeah.
I'm almost counting how many gate summons that Aaron gets from each of these spots. Like, that's one thing I want to watch over the course of the game, too, because it's, the main gate, it's
sucked.
obvious.
Sorry. we just got a 2 for 4 on that melee.
Yep.
But yeah, serious. Like, we have now. I think that's the first time we're using that other gate. That's nice.
Yeah, the left side gate has gotten a use, and we're trying to flank the diamond now.
Yeah.
But now we're
All
going to
right.
get a beast kill, generating a carrier that's not in the diamond, but also far from that carrier mess either. So, So we're shifting the battle to the other side to some extent. I don't know to what extent. Koldak hasn't moved. Okay. And one more slightly more defensive gate.
Yeah, that's a commitment to going all the way. The gate back there.
Going to the end game.
Yeah, this just gonna be a fight in the midfields the entire time.
Well, is it a commitment to the end game, or is it just kind of cover that flank because we have so many flanks to cover?
That's fair. I'd see it as a commitment to like I'm not really gonna try to advance that much, I guess. Like I don't feel like I need to push forward. I'm just gonna sit here the entire game.
Makes sense.
Which is yeah, like I feel like Cooldock is traditionally kind of good against factions that are melee only, like factions that can only hit you like adjacently and like don't have any good ranged options. Like it feels like Cooldock just excels in the situations, but then and Red Talus is like that's one of the biggest weaknesses of the Fallen Kingdom is they're really just kind of melee only. But
This is a sleeper reason why I think FD, Fungal Dwarves in particular, are a sleeper good faction for new players because a melee faction I've found is really easier to calculate the odds of. Like that was one of the big draws of Fungal Dwarves for me is just kind of I get it when it comes to these melee odds. Ranged dice can be more frustrating and just require kind of a different risk calculus if you miss, a different set of contingency plans. Fungal Dwarves you can count on to hit more often, and that's a good thing in terms of simplifying the decision space. All right, so we're getting a nice, interesting change in board state now. We're getting the carrier, the carrier pincer attack. I don't even know what to call this.
this is rough, and we got one. We got a new carrier spawn, but we still have one carrier from the previous wave over here. So this is 4 of the 5 carriers. There's probably one left still on the deck. But this just seems like it's just so annoying to be like when there's 4 carriers. Like even if you hit all your dice, there's gonna be at least one carrier that lives. That's probably gonna make another carrier. Like it's just Phew, I was worried there wouldn't be another zombie. Man, you and me both. Like, I wonder
Aaron
if there's a
hasn't played a
world.
single event yet.
Yeah. And how many cards is he holding? What sort of greed is going on here? Let's see. Last turn held 4 cards. Figures. That's pretty atypical. Just to ever have a situation where you're holding 4 cards at 2 magic. I feel like
When
there's
you have 4
yeah.
carriers on the board, you have a little bit more, I guess, assurance that it's not going to be a board wipe. A little bit less of the I need to be able to summon something next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just you have a wave of carriers and just wait to see before like how many resources does Cool Deck have to go through to deal with these carriers before we play another card in our deck.
I mean, I wouldn't even know to call this early or mid game, but this still it's we're this far in, and it still feels almost like table setting. The shaman in back has 4 boosts now, so we're not really table setting. We're progressing towards something.
Yeah.
So I mean, the fungal dwarves definitely stand to gain as the grind goes on, whereas Fallen Kingdom needs to get their combos out at some point because they're going to eventually run out of resources in the sense of Retalis's life or just the carrier waves finally getting exterminated.
Mhm.
So there is that element of inevitability. Like, Ret Talus doesn't have infinite life, and he doesn't really gain that much if he already has 4 cards in hand that he's holding on to desperately. You know, he's not accumulating boosts on that shaman the way Kuldak is.
Yeah.
But I mean, both the players are extremely patient. We know that. And both the factions can afford to prolong this early game. Well, there's that 3 for 3 we're talking about.
And that's 2 3-for-3s in a row. That is crazy, because now just like all these carriers, like, we're safe on this side of the board, and there's no easy infect on this 1 health carrier. That was really scary. That's nice.
Yep.
But sorry.
But again, this is not Fallen Kingdom's path to victory. Like, this particular very early carrier wave. You know, it's their path to greater glory, but like you were saying, like, eventually you finally wipe out that wave of carriers and you're starting to try and predict, all right, when's the next one coming?
Yeah.
But, and I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. All right, give me events, give me something big. I'm bored. Give me Thune. I'm not actually bored, but my wish for Thune comes from boredom rather than an overriding need for him. An overriding strategic reason. All right, we've got a different kind of unit on the board. Warriors are always exciting. What are you going to do with that?
I don't really.
I'm not totally sure. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Neither is Aaron, apparently.
There's always the option of just like of the carrier, just like the undead carrier just tries to go like and kill all 3 of these units in a row, and see if that works for you.
No, he's not. Okay.
And we got the pyre. Yeah, it would suck to get for Rhett to die to some sort of some sort of something. Some sort of demand on a mage or something.
All right, so we've got the question: is this going to be a big turn?
Oh, it's the purge. Yeah, so this sure is a big turn.
I would love for it to be one of those big Aaron turns where you just have no idea how the board state changed so drastically between the purges and the soul shifts. But you don't necessarily need it to be at this point. Like, you don't need it to be game-changingly clever, even though we're all rooting for that.
Yeah,
the question is, how much value are you getting from that purge? What's the rest of this turn?
It'd be really nice if we can just kill both these fungal beasts, and force Kuldak to play another one.
I mean, Aaron's at least showing his, he's showing that he has Pyre and Purge. I'm not sure he's decided whether he's getting enough value to play those now. I don't know if he's caught between 2 competing options or if he's just trying to find something that's good enough.
Yeah, these are always the turns that you can think about for 20 minutes as Fallen Kingdom.
Yep, alright, so now he can at least get that beast kill. And now we know he had that warrior, but for some reason didn't think there was a big enough warrior turn to justify that.
Yeah. I wonder how many boosts this pyre is going to get. Or how crazy can we go here? And we get the first infect. Are we going to get the 2-on-2 as well? That would be huge.
That's a critical 2-on-2.
Going for that one. Interesting. I would not have. I guess because it's about to rupture.
Makes sense. I actually wasn't sure which one it was going to go for, and didn't get a chance to just ask you. Oh, okay, we'll go for that one because we'll go for that one.
Another one. Oh my goodness. I was like, wow, the attacks don't stop. And now there's 4 carriers again, and like the board is wiped. Wow, that is evil.
And that took RNG, but not crazy RNG.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I suppose. So each of yeah, it was
It
a
was like
bunch
a
of
one
two on
out of
twos in a
two,
row.
two out of
Yeah,
two, and two out of two.
yeah. So
So it
we
needed
could have
so
been
five out
stopped.
of yeah, 5 out of 6, or it's not quite 5 out of 6 melee because which 5 and 6 matter, but 4 out of 4 melee is not
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
It's in like the 40%, I think.
yeah, yeah. But it's always like if the first one misses, then you don't even get a shot at the second one. Carriers are
Oh,
sweet.
tell me about that.
The name of the game.
Tell me how many times I've counted on something like like a 1 out of 3 and gotten a 0 out of 3 any game, and then like my entire chain is broken.
And see how, but like, there's no way we're killing all these carriers. There's just too many of them. I wonder if the warrior is gonna
I
come down next turn.
love Maldar, seeing Maldar as an attack unit.
Yeah,
Just from yeah, I don't like. I know like Waterdeep's talked about disliking farming units and Mulder being used to farm being unfun, and it's not like it doesn't bother me that much. Like the farming or the being overtuned, but I definitely am happy when he attacks. Like that's what I feel like any unit should be doing.
yeah. I've definitely I played a game against. Well, let's see the attacks here. Are we gonna get the 3 for 3s? Like I feel like every 3 for 3 and 2 for 2 just needs to be
Ugh.
up, and that's a miss. That's one more zombie. Uh, and that's a hit,
And
and
that's
that'll
a
heal
hit.
red up to full health. Budding. Wow, I never get pyres that good. Holy crap. I'm
I never,
jealous.
as an opponent, necessarily know what to do when I have to kill those carriers, but it's going to heal red.
Yeah. Most of the time, I feel like you gotta do it. You
But see,
can't you
that's
can't.
why I don't hate this matchup. Despite all the grindiness, is just like all these interesting decisions. But they are fairly atomic, and in a way, like you said, when you're just like, just got to do it, just got to kill the units and let that pyre happen. I don't mind easy decisions. I don't mind easy decisions with rather tragic consequences. It's difficult decisions that are, irksome.
Yes. We'll see. We'll see whenever the like I'm waiting for the first like big 2-on-2 carrier whiff, like where we could have had 2 extra zombies and instead we got 0. Like that might be coming up with this carrier on the other carrier. Like you don't even know what I'm saying. Like so the carrier is attacking the carrier, which is attacking the carrier. Like so many carriers. All right, and it hits. And we got another one.
And we got another carrier chain.
And we got another one. And it misses. Oh my goodness. The beast lives. So hey, there's potential to kill all the carriers this turn now. There are there are not more carriers than possible attacks.
This is true.
And yeah, the shaman and the bat, like all the boosts are nice because Monstro is one way to deal with the undead carriers. Unfortunately, Red does have like have ways to dealing with the Monstro with like a warrior punching it for 7, but you get all those boosts and hopefully you can get Monstro out at some point in the game. This is not. I was talking to Aaron. I was playing a live game against Aaron, and I sort of had Maldar in my back for a while, just getting boosts. And he said at the end, like, yeah, I don't really know if that was worth it because like as Fungal Dwarves, you just have so many boosts already that Maldar, like, really is best when you're also attacking, like you just said. which sort of seems true here. Like the limiting region right now is not the amount of boosts. We have plenty of boosts. If Maldar was just sitting in the back row boosting the shaman more and more every turn, it would kind of feel like a waste at this point.
It would feel like like you're playing a different game or something. Like you're going for some sort of,
Alternate
like,
win condition.
Yeah, exactly. Or like I know people have proposed, like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to get achievements? Like, and in this case, it'd be like, yeah, I'm like, FK is playing to win, and Fungal Dwarves is playing to get 15 boosts on a shaman. And
Yes.
I'm actually glad that, much as people have talked about, ways to gamify and make things more addictive, I'm glad that everyone is playing to win rather than going after weird achievements like getting some astronomical number of boosts on a shaman.
I wonder.
Mulder's boosting that boost out that beast probably just because he can.
Yep, and banking some more beasts on coolback because we can't.
Okay.
And the 3-on-3 misses. Oh, it's rough. And the 3-on-3 hits. Oh, it's a 3-on-1. What am I talking about?
Exactly. Okay, what's that shaman? What is the shaman back there doing? Like the shaman behind that gate.
You ask a convincing. You ask a good question. Maybe
like,
just
what is that guy for? Like, are we just clearing our hand, or do we have a grand plan in mind?
I don't see any possible option besides clearing our hand. Did Prophet move 3 times this turn? Because I assume we would have moved forward if we could.
I guess so.
And Prophet's still, like, we've been on the edge. Like, we've been... Oh, wait, never mind. There's release force. I was about to say, Cool Duck looks exposed. Silly me. We're releasing the spores. It's so sad. Like, if this carrier was dead, like, it'd be so good. All right,
this is the first game in a while, I think, Ben, that you and I haven't been, like, rooting for whoever we perceive to be the underdog.
Because what's even happening?
I think we're generally rooting for hits, because who wouldn't root for a kill?
Yeah.
But as far as who is ahead at the moment...
That's a lot of boost. Like, that's basically the entirety of my commentary. Not a boost. I don't know who the underdog is either. Yeah, it's just so much. I like every 3-on-3 and 2-on-2. I'm like laser focused. I feel like I need to like pull up stats at the end of the game. But I mean, there's so many attacks that like surely it evens out. need more units. I can still see the board.
Sorry.
We
have this kind of undead bird flock or something, like the archers hanging out together.
It missed! Oh my goodness. Oh. We don't get 2 extra carriers this turn. This carrier is going down. Rhett is gonna have to raise the dead a new carrier to start a new wave. It is step 2. So like I think we had the initial carriers we played, and then we played our 4th carrier. Oh. Sorry, what was the roll?
No. It was a 1 out of 3 warrior roll.
Rip.
Yeah.
But finally this carrier wave is going down. Finally we're gonna have to summon another one. It sucks. It sucks because yeah, if we got 3-on-3 on the warrior, then Maldar would just be bad and die.
Maldar, I mean, the cultist has the cultist attacked yet? I am. All right, we're way past wherever I thought we were. Don't mind me. Yes. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't mind me.
A lot of boosts, you know.
I've definitely watched sports matches where that's the extent of the commentator insight is, yep, that's a lot of boosts. 11 is a big number.
Well,
I think Prophet is just kind of vomiting his hand wherever he can.
yeah, I mean, a lot of boosts. Gonna get some more carriers, gonna get some more beasts. It's gonna take a while, unless someone dies. This is a
The
tangent, but
main thing,
no,
oh,
good.
go on. I like tangents.
Do you want to hear the tangent?
I want to hear the
I'm
tangent.
genuinely like, for a faction as complicated as Fungal Dwarves, the fact that it like works, that like there is so much like interesting dynamics between other factions that it faces is just like so impressive, and like potentially even kind of accidental. Like, I don't know if there was enough playtesting time to really verify whether like the Fungal Dwarves always just do a certain thing or whether they lead to a variety of matchups. Like, you could easily see a faction like the Fungal Dwarves just being like, they will always win econ. You cannot beat them at econ. And that would be like kind of unfun, but that's just like not the case at all, which is just like so impressive design wise. Anyway, that's the tangent.
No, I couldn't agree more. Like, they committed themselves to, they committed to themselves to an interesting chunk of meta when they designed the Fungal Dwarves,
Yeah.
and it's held its own.
Yeah, so surprisingly so. Could easily just fall
All
flat. Ooh,
right,
and then
Mulder,
one for
yeah,
three for
Mulder
one
and
for
Warrior
three.
trade whiffs.
All right, let's see. What the FK player has to do is to destroy the FD summoner. If he can do that, he can win the game. I think that's true. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. I need to think about that a little bit more.
Well, we need to say it authoritatively, like we're delivering some amazing insight, and then people will believe us and believe that, we're geniuses for stating that. No, I do want to know what Fallen Kingdom can pull at this point. Because we're all sitting there at that, staring at that 5 boost beast back there. I think we know what's happening next.
Yes, yeah. Oh, there is a. I was like, what 5 boost beast? Yeah, so that'll be there, but that'll take like. I I'm calling this game even, and you can call me crazy for that, but I I feel like this is a this is a fungus that I could exterminate. Um, and yeah, if Monstro in the back in our back row is gonna slowly advance, there's gonna be all sorts of Tortugatron, you're crazy. It tried to ban you from saying you're crazy, Tortugatron.
Oh, no.
I need to turn off this auto mod.
Wait, if it banned him, how did he say it?
Or no, like it flagged the message, so it didn't go through until I allowed it. Twitch feels my weird, but what I was saying, that the beast, like a Monstro in the back, like I don't know, it slowly advances. There's gonna be a lot of time to maybe get some use out of the second purge on it, to maybe get a warrior to hit it for 7. I feel like, as you said, like there's like the table setting, and then like the early mid game, and then the mid game, and then the late mid game. I think like what sort of defines like the mid game for Summoner Wars, or what for Fungal Dwarves, is when like we've started to pop off. Like, sort of inevitably, there's gonna be a fungus at some point that feels crazy, and like this might be like the height of our growth. And if this is the height of our growth, I think, oh, that's not good.
Does Aaron just have this epic inability to roll well on stream? I feel like there's been a couple of these games now.
The word you're looking for, skill issue? Oh. And that's so rough too. So what we're trying to do is kill the carrier, and then because soul shift is after
Yes.
destroyed, we could shift in before it gets to be replaced by a beast. But instead, we're screwed. Well, so this is the tide turning for profit, but many a more will be had. Oh, and yeah, Worf taking the words out of my mouth. Let's see if the monster drops. But yeah, it's a bit tucked. It'll take it a while to get somewhere useful. But I suppose better that than no monstro is what Prophet's thinking.
Well, the monstro was pretty inevitable.
Yeah. I feel like
I
sometimes
guess he
I will.
wants the owner, or it might be the shaman just. Yep.
Yep. I've gotten into traps before where I've tried to force the monstro and like pooled all of my resources, like all of my life savings on this one beast. That's gonna happen, and then they find a way to kill it that I didn't expect, and then I just like lose the game.
I feel
So
like that's a
I've
fungal
messed it up.
dwarf's rite of passage.
Yes,
Like anyone who says that has not happened to them is lying.
absolutely. And I wonder. Okay, yeah, my take is we double attack this carrier right now to try to exterminate it. And it goes down. So yeah, we need some lucky 2 for 2s, but it's totally like all it takes is a carrier hitting a 2 for 2, and then another infect, and suddenly we have 3 carriers, and yeah, I wish we had the timers to see how how deep we are. It's only been like probably 25 minutes each, so got another 20 minutes on the clock. See if we time anything out this time. And the carrier comes back. Let's go. All right. Okay, so we got one, but will we get another? Unfortunately, now this carrier is boosted, but we can soul shift in it at least. Oh wait, no, infect. We can just infect it. Yeah, easy.
Answer to Worf, one's release spores has been used. And the rundown of FK events is that one sacrificial pyre and one purge has been used. So even though Fungal Dwarves is basically kind of at, like you said, at possibly that diamond peak, Fallen Kingdom has a fair number of events to run through before we declare, what state of the game they're in, early, mid, or late.
Yeah, I
I
feel like
mean,
we
in
really need.
terms.
Yeah,
No, go on. We really
I was
need.
just saying. I feel like we really need to go through like we need to be out of cards before we can start to like assess where the game is at. Like it's just gonna take so long. What were you saying?
Well, Fallen Kingdom's events are going to tick down. Rhett Tellis's life is going to tick down. And, Prophet is way too good at Fungal Dwarves to summon an early-ish monstro in a way that sacrifices the Beast Carrier engine. So this, even if in terms of clock time they need to speed it up, they're still, I would say, I would almost call it still mid-game-ish. maybe not in terms of clock, but in terms of, okay, what's going to happen next?
Yeah,
How,
I'd agree.
when's the climax going to come? And it's a slow burn.
Yep. Oh,
So
and
we're, mhm.
yeah. Well, I was
No, I was
saying
going
we're.
to, yep,
No,
if there's a second spores, that's a lot of juice left.
yeah,
Could not
yeah,
agree more. And,
and
and no damage on Koldak.
yeah, yeah, and
No, not,
also calling it with there's a lot of stuff blocking Cooldock's retreat. Yep, that's on Prophet's mind as well. Prophet is also prioritized getting like sees the writing on the wall, prioritized getting Cooldock out of there.
3 for 3. And carrier food.
Yep.
And FK carrier food. So we're gonna do this again for a while. We're gonna do this game again for a while, except now Koldak is out of there.
It is. I feel like these turns are like perfectly encapsulating this matchup because like it's like it felt like one diamond versus the other of just like just one massive horde right up next to another massive horde, and neither of them show any signs of giving out.
I think our reason for picking this to commentate, other than just intrinsic masochism, is to prove that this game does in fact come to an end.
Yes.
For science, does FK versus FD ever come to an end? But I mean, I guess what I look for as a viewer is really just like, okay, what's the texture of this? What are the slow parts where we're just trading and we're not going to rush and we're going to be patient with the dice and we're just going to let this carrier on carrier thing play itself out. And then where's the bursts? Where's there's that release spores, there's that blood summon, there's that, just that pivot point. Like when the game's
Yeah.
a formless mush, it's boring. It's boring to play and it's boring to watch. But when you start to see the texture and just those, just those key moments, then it's just, that's when and how I sink my teeth into it.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it's more, it's a more interesting what just happened than I hit you, you hit me, I hit you back, you hit me back. When does this get to be fun? There's an imposter in the carrier ranks.
Can you spot it? Just blending in. The zombies ain't too smart. They might not figure it out. I feel like
think
this
that
might be one.
Carrier ain't too smart either. Like, he seems profoundly unaware of his own peril.
He's just I'm chilling. I think
All right,
this
you're
might
saying.
be one of the pivotal moments that you're talking about of like what I would want to do here is just like have Monstro just beat down carrier after carrier until they die. Like hopefully here we can just hold the position and like maybe go easy, like maybe not infect if we get the option to on the enemy carriers, and just hope that monstrosity can get through this horde. That like this is the new quirk of the game.
It's where the rules change because, look, there's only one beast and one carrier on the board now. There's a boatload of ranged units behind them, but for everyone who hates the carrier on carrier fest, guess what? Here's Act 2.
Yeah. Oof. This setup is dangerous. There's still a Hellforged weapon. Hellforged weapon could 4-on-3 the beast and then just continue to get carriers and then infect the shaman behind it. And damage another carrier too. Yeah, we'll see how long Monstro comes out. I'm waiting for the blood summons, waiting for those big turns.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Hellforged weapon, the blood summons. I don't think
Pyre.
I I haven't been watching Aaron's discard that well. Like, I don't know if he's had to burn events just to. Have you?
I have not either. I can check. I'd suspect not. This was a quick turn from Aaron. He's just like, nope. I know what's happening. We got carriers. We gotta go.
No, that's what I mean about the texture. Like, he's not popping off yet, so he's just gonna play these sort of set pieces. You know, like, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna give, like, Monstro can't. He's got 5 attack, but he can't single-handedly kill 5 carriers.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, that was clearly a, abide by time turn from Aaron. Like, let's click through this stuff and get to the next part.
Okay, so interesting. I'm wrong. So Aaron has discarded 7 cards, Prophet only 2.
Okay.
Funny.
I mean, FK will discard units.
Yeah.
What you hate
discard the archers. Yeah.
What you hate is just having to choose which events to burn because you just need to burn something.
Yeah. I mean, any faction really, but especially Fallen Kingdom.
That's why I found this faction so hard to learn as a new player.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of the things that you don't get easy insight to while watching other people's games. That's kind of been one of my gripes about the user interface for a long time, is just without kind of being able to effortlessly watch top players' hand management, there's this layer of black magic. There's this layer of black magic I can't get through.
Absolutely.
Because but the nice thing is we can ask them about it at the end of the game.
Yeah, there's just like so many questions I could have about this matchup. Moving up Cool Deck. That's interesting. Shaman Infect still scares me. Yep, running away. Oof, but I don't.
That's a. Are we gonna self-kill the mage?
Well, I suppose if you kill both of these carriers, then it's kind of hard to get here. It's still scary because like there's no more carriers that could come out of the blood summon, but you could still like blood summon like a cultist and then kill your own cultist in front of the mage to get in there. All right, that's 2 carriers down, and 3rd. Never mind.
Or not.
It's been a lot of those this game.
It's been a lot of 0 for 2s.
Huh. I wonder if Cool Deck's dead. Never mind.
No.
I don't wonder that.
We were just discussing this, but we're unable to hold more than one thought in our heads at a time.
I've never done it. Never managed.
I've tried.
It's rough to give them more food for infects, but this monstro is at full health. Like, that bodes well. For the time being, at least.
I don't think it's so irrelevant. I'm not sure when's the last time I've seen a 19 boost shaman at this stage in the game.
Yeah, and it's really just
profit like going off on side quests.
Yeah, because it doesn't like. We'll have to see when the game ends how many unused boosts are on that shaman. Tortugatron saying that's just 2 warrior attacks to take out the Monstro, and that's true. And like, that'd be a huge swing if the Monstro goes down. Like,
it's harder to pick up the engine pieces at this point.
But we really we need.
I mean, we have plenty of boosts to just turn a carrier into a beast directly.
It's true, but we gotta have those carriers from somewhere, and they do run out eventually. But yeah, like what's the missing piece is the next Pyre turn. Like we want a pyre for 10 or something. Like we want a crazy pyre turn comboed with either purge or blood summon. There is another purge, right? Or am I wrong?
There is another purge. There are 2 blood summons. There are 2 hell-forged weapons.
Are there two? Oh,
and there's that one
we
more
lost
pyre.
one. I think we lost a weapon. Yeah, we lost
Did
one
I miss...
weapon. I think I remember checking.
Okay.
It
Okay,
it was a carrier that killed itself and like missed. It was funny.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Monster is still at full health, but these carriers show no sign of going away. But like, ideally, we can put a beast in front or something. Like, just ideally, like I feel like a common strat against Fallen Kingdom is eventually there's too many carriers, and if I'm like vanguards or something, I'll try to just like park myself with like a Citadel Knight in between 2 gates that'll just like take away the carriers one by one if I really am just forced to fall back. And that's what we're trying to do here.
We've got 2 demands left.
I think we did use one as well. Yes, we did. We've used 1 demand. All
right, I can't count.
there's
when did we use the demand?
There was a turn where we demanded on a beast to kill a carrier in front of the 10 health gate.
Okay.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of boosts, you know.
Zombies did indeed ate all my brains with this grind fest. You assume there were any to begin with.
I really don't like cooldeck stuck here, like stuck in the middle of something. It feels dangerous.
All right, excuse me. I am getting over a cold. Fortunately, this coughing fit might last.
No worries, no worries. And if boost the bottom carry to 3, demands it to the lower left carrier, and then use monster to kill upper carrier. Left side carrier engine is hot. Yeah, so boost this one, demands it on lower left carrier, then uses Monstro to kill upper left carrier. Yeah, so like we take out both of these. It'd be nice to just get rid of it. Beast from hand works too. Yeah, I suppose beast from hand is easier. I was thinking that too, Worf, of just like get a carrier in here, and like so. I just want high health units in their face, and I guess Coolduck is gonna be one of those high health units for the time being, and we're just gonna hope he doesn't die to a warrior at some point. All right, here we go. And doing the infects, I wonder if you don't want to do that infect. I mean, doing that infect at least guarantees that Coolduck isn't gonna die, but I don't really know if like Aaron would want to like kill all his units with a blood summon just to hit Coolduck for 7. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to. I wonder if Aaron and Prophet will disagree about like how much you want to do infects with fungal beasts, because I know Prophet. I know Aaron has said like that he's realized he's had to not do as many infects with fungal beasts. I wonder if Prophet would have something different to say. I think he's trying to keep out the warrior. Yeah, it definitely makes sense here. I don't know, like even if the warrior got here, I guess the worst case scenario, because I'm thinking like what are they gonna do, like blood summon a new warrior? But you're right, like this warrior just moves in, or I think the worst case scenario is like cultist would purge on cooldock, and then we purge because like it feels bad to like use blood summon to kill all of our units, but I'll happily use purge to kill all of my units any day. So we do a huge purge turn, bring warrior to 7, and then just hit cooldock for fun. Purge could make a path for the warrior. That's true. Oh, this is the sack pyre turn. It's coming down. Oh, it's so coming down. Is this gonna be it? Oh, and coming in for 2 more. The cooldock is gonna be hit for at least 7 on 9. See if Aaron can find a way to do some more somehow. I feel like there's got to be a way to get one more purge in here. Yeah.
This is... I love it.
So I can't even, but yeah, we have to purge on our own units in order to kill them before the damage step is complete in order to do even more damage. You see the rewatch. So which units have purged already? That one, and then, but we're still only getting this to like 7 right now. Is this worth it? All of our units for the 7 on 7? Probably. Didn't know you could repeat purge on archers. This is good to know. Yeah, the weird thing is like, so say like this archer purges on cooldock. If you have one of your own, okay, let's just say there's a unit here. All right, taking back everything. Pretend this carrier is an archer. All right, this archer purges on cooldock. This carrier purges on this archer. This archer has now died in the damage step of purge, so another archer could come in and then purge on cooldock again, which is like the kind of like niche, weird, unintuitive way that purge works, or like the secret way to get extra damage down a single row if you have a bunch of archers. And yeah, coordinating a turn like that, like, is gonna be tough under the clock. With enough archers, if we can just get like, let's see how many purges we can get in. Okay, I'll try to. Let's see step by step. So then this archer comes in. So this carrier has already been purged. All right, going back. This is a tough turn, but this is like the big thinking turn. This is where we have the pyre out. All right, so I'm just gonna mark units that have already done their damage, so we know they can't do damage again. So this carrier has done its damage, so it can't do damage again. All right, this archer has done its damage, so it can't do damage again. All right, now this cultist has done its damage to that carrier. All right, but then this, okay, I'm gonna briefly erase that. So these two have both done their damage. This archer has not done its damage. Okay, now one of these 2 units, I'm not sure which, let's say this one has done its damage to that, but now that archer hasn't. So now this archer has now done its damage to that archer. So now these 2 have done it, and now this archer finally does 2 more damage to cooldock. And they can soul shift around as much as they want. They're all going to die. And all that we're going to be left with is a 7 on 7. And is Aaron going to go for it, or are we going to take it all back again? Oh, do we have a weapon?
He can help forged weapon in the build phase, which I'm going to assume he does.
And he does. That's very likely game. Oh, and plus the carrier, that's another 2 as well. Yep, that's 11 dice. And it's over. What a game.
Oh, and this is why you never, ever count out the Fallen Kingdom as an opponent, even when Fungal Dwarves are at their most terrifying peak.
Yes. Just speechless. Like all of those units, you can do so much purging. Bonanza. It is wild.
And it takes so much patience to set that up rather than just kind of going hell for leather and like I just need to whack something with some weapon because the game looks lost.
Yeah, I mean, how many units did we need, like total, to do this turn? Like we purged pretty much every unit here, but like one carrier. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Like we needed 9 units to do that crazy combo turn to get to cool deck. But we made it work.
We say we as if we like willed Fallen Kingdom to victory as opposed to just
Yeah, really, the
chit-chatting.
credit's all mine. Like, I really went through the heavy lifting for that one.
We were telepathically sending suggestions to Aaron this whole time. Both of us claim credit.
Yep. Let me see. All right, I'm gonna send him an invite into here. And we'll get them in here and we'll chat.
What up? What up?
Hello. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, nice to hear from you. Okay, so both of you just briefly just say your name so we can associate the voice with the right name.
Oh, yep, this is Prophet.
And I'm Aaron.
Never
Also-
heard that voice before ever.
It's not like I hear that voice driving to work. every couple mornings. Wow, what a game. Thank you guys so much. It's so brave to play this matchup on a 45-minute game. This was just wild to watch go down. How are you guys feeling after that?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I was thinking to myself, I was like, God, this is gonna go on forever because we're just infecting. I was like, dude, Aaron, I know you have some crazy blood summon something, or I don't know, some way to blow up Koldak, but I was like, what are the odds we actually finish faster than the time limit? It's possible. No, yeah, I mean that was a great ending. I probably couldn't have asked for anything better because it would be so unsatisfying to like have such a game go on forever and then just nobody kills the summoner.
Yeah.
So no, I actually was like, oh well, this will give them a show for sure. I I was actually trying so hard to figure out like what's the way. I saw Ret Talis at 2 health, and I don't know if you noticed, Aaron, towards the end, but you had left open like a lane towards Ret Talis, but it was like 5-6 spaces away. So I was like, if I could get one carrier and one stim shroom, I have a chance at lethal there. But I just could not draw the carrier. I was like, please.
Is that why you put the mage in the back?
Yeah, so you boost the carrier to 1, then you use the shaman to transfer the other 1 or 2, and then you stim shroom that carrier all the way to Ret Talis.
Is this stim shroom? Is the lane up the right side from your perspective,
Yes.
Prophet? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's from my perspective, I'll summon the carrier on the 10 gate and then or even the 5 gate, it didn't really matter, but you basically get him to 1 health and then put the rest of the boost on him so that he stim streams 3 spaces, kills himself, spawns to his beast, and then stim streams 3 more spaces and then attacks with Talis.
Oh, I forget about that interaction.
When I saw the mage in the back, I was like, that's gonna happen soon.
You left him open for like 2 or 3 turns. I was like, please. I was considering just discarding my whole hand, but I was like, no, that feels reckless because he could easily stop it by just putting a unit there.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had any carriers left, but I was like, that's probably what he's trying to do when he threw that in the back.
I had 1 left, and I was like, oh, please. But yeah, no, I mean, the matchup went exactly as I expected. I was like, well, I bet you were just going to have like carrier versus carrier nonsense for like most of the game until we draw the right hand to blow the other person up. But yeah, no, I knew that warrior was trouble. I couldn't get to him. I was like, I have no way of killing this warrior.
That was the plan. Just keep him alive in the corner. That's why I went high with those
Really?
carriers, trying to. Yeah, the warrior was the key for sure.
Wow.
If you can get a warrior within 2 spaces of cool deck, doesn't matter what blockers there are. It's a bad idea for cool deck.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, surely me taking a beast and using this carrier to block me. I just completely forgot about Purge. I was like, how is he gonna get to me with this carrier here? But I forgot Purge was a thing. And then
You
the tricky archer combo, that's crazy, dude.
I don't want to make you feel bad, Prophet, but you actually enabled that turn by taking my carrier down to 1 health. I wouldn't have been able to do the combo if you hadn't taken him down to 1 health.
Oh really? Yeah. I was like, hi, should I hit him? I honestly debated even putting Koldak back in the left of my 10K. I was like, I don't know. It's somewhere towards the end. You saw me kind of just retreat with Koldak because I was like, why do I even need boost? Like I have 40 boost on the board or something. Like it's I don't need to farm boost anymore. But
Yeah.
I guess habitually I'm like thinking about optimizing his diamond all the time. So I'm like, let me just get back in there.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, I could have still done the combo, but I wouldn't have been able to get the second archer in. So I could have hoped that my warrior probably would have died, and I would have had an archer attack on the back end.
I think subconsciously I wanted you to blow me up. I was like, just do it. And my pain. I can't get this carrier. I'm about to time out first. So
Yeah, what time were you at? That's what I was gonna ask.
I think I ended somewhere like 7 or 8 minutes. I was like, well,
Hmm.
we could do this dance for like a whole week, but yeah.
Do you guys think
Yeah.
you could have finished the game without timing out? Do you think you could have gone all the way to the end?
Like within the 45 minutes, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I mean, if I really like, if this were like a tournament game or a longer game, I would just keep Koldak way in the back because after a certain point, like there's no real need to put Koldak back up there because you have like I ended the board with the shaman had like 20 boost alone. So I was like,
Yeah.
I really don't need any more boost. So I probably would have kept him back there, but like what fun is that, right? So I don't know. I feel like I could have probably been safer. I know with Fallen Kingdom, it's kind of hard. I honestly think Fallen Kingdom has a slight edge in this matchup.
Yeah, I think so too.
You saw some nastiness with the archer stealing or the carrier stealing the 3 boosted spore spot to prevent him from spawning. I was like,
I tried to do that the turn before too with the archer, and it didn't work out. I went 1 for 3, but
We felt your pain.
yeah, you can steal with carriers and archers pretty easily, making sure those beasts don't come out. So leaving a carrier at like 3 boosts after they have that trigger is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious, did this game play out exactly as you guys would have expected? Or like what is your what was your game plan coming in here and and how did this game change that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this went just about as I expected. I somehow envisioned that it would be blood summon that kind of gets me. But yeah, I was like, there's just FK. They get stronger with deaths, and like I have a lot of things that die pretty easily, and so I felt like one of us was gonna blow up. I think my only real shot at assassination would be with the Stimshroom combo, which I was trying to get to, but it just didn't work out. The other path I've envisioned was us just spawning carriers to fight each other until the end of time.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of experience with this combo or this like matchup because of we had it in the league, right? But I also played it twice in the Tournament of Champions against Donkey's Fallen Kingdom. So those games went very similarly. Of like, there's a lot of carriers and they go back and forth for a while, and then eventually somebody makes a power move. Like in one of the games I played against Donkey, the one I lost, he blood summoned super far up the side to take out a back row Thune that had like 6 boosts on him and no damage taken. It was brutal.
Whose perspective did y'all have?
We had yours, though it doesn't change a whole lot because we don't get to see the hands if the game isn't finished.
Oh, got it. Yeah, my first hand was a Sophie's Choice. I had Stimshrew, Monstrosity, Thune, Spores, and a Shaman. And I
Oh
was
my
like, well,
goodness.
this is. So I summoned the Shaman. The Shaman was nice. That was playable, but everything else was pretty much useless. And I was like, I don't want to give up Thune because I'm gonna end up with like 15 magic somewhere. And I did. I had so much magic. It was crazy. And then I was like, and I had so many boosts too. But I was like, if I hold Monstrosity and Thune and Spores, then it's gonna be a very bad time. I don't know if you guys saw. You probably did, but I didn't. I forgot to check if I had a beast one time, and I was like, oh, whoops.
I missed it, so
Oh,
I
really?
wouldn't
There's a
know.
carrier that just died to like.
It was very
It just
early
gave me.
on. It was like third or fourth turn or something, and Prophet just messaged me. He was like, "Oops."
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's. I'm
Skill issues for me and Ben.
Yeah.
I try to tell people. I mean, I forget too. It's a lot of people sometimes just forget to check. I think I'm playing a different game than I am. So.
Yeah, it's one of the bad things if you play a lot of the like Fungal Dwarves and you have like several games going on at once. You're like, oh, I for sure have a beast in this discard, and then you're like, nope, that was the other game. I just messed up.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think
Aaron,
a big part of the learning curve of this game is just recovering from an early oops like that.
Yeah.
You know, just it's not over till it's over. Especially a game like this where you can read the board at any given time and be convinced it's hopeless. Ben and I just refrained this entire game from picking who we thought had an advantage. Like, this is maybe the only time that the commentary hasn't slanted towards rooting for whoever we perceive as the underdog, because we just had no idea whatsoever.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You can't really use health with Retalis as a measure or a metric. I felt like pretty much we were neck and neck in terms of econ.
Mhm.
And so it was tough. And I mean, it was just pretty much who could pull out the combo first. And I think Fallen Kingdom has more combos and
Yeah,
it's just
for
a way
sure.
easier. So I was like, well, I'm probably gonna die. But I saw the opportunity with the stim shoes. I was like, man, dude, I really want to do that. But yeah, it's tough because it's so swingy each turn. I think Aaron, you and I played this one time at a like official tournament.
Yeah, yep.
I think I was Fallen Kingdom though. And this was when
Yeah, and I think you won.
yeah, it was close. It was very close. This was when Rhett Talus had like 15 health or something, and then
Oh yeah.
I went from like 2 or 3 health and I healed 13 health or something, and I was like, yeah, it was. I had a purge. We blew up the whole board.
Yep.
It was great. Uh,
Yeah, the
Aaron,
pyres in this matchup can be super huge. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but I went from I got 8 health back fairly early on.
oh yeah,
And the pyres are just ginormous.
I
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
sorry. When I
No.
play this matchup, I just assume Rhett Talus has 36 health. It's just my raid boss.
Yeah, is there something like I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to be so patient with the combo pieces, like especially with Ret Talus. It's just like sometimes like, oh, like all my units are gonna die, like I have all these events clogging my hands, I can't get it to work. Like any tips for just how to make a Ret Talus always have that 36 health, how to always make the combos fall right when I need them to fall?
Well, pretty early on in this game, I drew Pyre, Purge,
Mm,
and
uh-huh.
I kept them for like 2 or 3 turns, and then I played the Purge and the Pyre, and
Yeah.
then I drew into the last Purge and Pyre I had for like 7 turns in a
Gotcha.
row.
Yeah.
And for like, I mean, you know me, I don't discard cards ever because I'm a lunatic, but I probably had like 3 or 4 turns at the end there, sitting on like the same exact hand or discarding like one card and just trying to get that board state just a little bit better for that combo to pull off. Because I had the combo, thought about doing it a couple turns before, and I didn't feel as good about it with Cool Deck at 12 health, but somehow just 1 health lower, I was like, and also, I didn't have the way to do the double archer, and I wanted to do the double archer because I could have attacked with an archer after the warrior died if he died from Hellforged, but that is not as guaranteed as you saw from my 1 out of 3 earlier with the archer as 2 straight damage with purge, which is always nice just to know you're doing 2 straight damage. So
yeah. And where were the blood summons? Where were they?
I didn't draw any of them until like my last 8 cards.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
One was still in the deck. My last 4 cards had one. The first one I got, I discarded immediately for Magic. I had Dragos coming out eventually. He was one of my last 4 cards.
And that's because you got it too late to get any use out of it.
Yeah, I don't like Blood Summon as much. It's very useful when you get it at the right spot, but I had only 2 units in hand. And I had Pyre and Purge also in hand. So my Blood Summon was not going to be that useful. And I also knew I had another Blood Summon in the deck still.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 2 warriors left in the deck, which is what you really want to do Blood Summon with, is get those warriors out.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I was going to draw that other Blood Summon with those warriors, so I'd have a chance to do some stuff then.
I like how you just pretended my monstrosity didn't even exist.
Yeah, he was there. I didn't see him.
You're like, look at that gate with 5 attack. Crazy.
Just walking all over the place.
Yeah, it didn't even matter. I honestly, one thing I was thinking about during the game was like, is it even worth infecting carriers? Because like they don't live, and they just give you more carriers. So like, am I really winning this trade here? I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have infected carriers. I should have just let Beast straight up kill them.
That's how I beat Donkey the second time around.
Mm.
Was I just didn't infect carriers, and I just let him try and go against my Beast, and he couldn't kill them in one turn, or he had to do combos to kill them. So it was taking a lot more resources for him to infect things, and that's how I won the second tournament champion game against Donkey in this matchup. But did you like how I trapped one of your carriers in a pen and just left him there for 3 turns?
Yeah, I was like, that's rude. Show them some respect.
I think Tortugatron in chat informed us that there was a mole among your carriers.
Yeah.
One of these is not like the others.
It was just like carrier pet.
Yeah.
I figured he wouldn't do a ton of damage, and if he killed the carrier, I could just get it back off that carrier. So I was like, he's not worth using my attacks on.
Yeah. I think that's probably the learning point on this matchup is it's probably best not to always automatically infect, because I think that ended up creating more problems for me than it helped. Because I think maybe only evolved 1 or 2 carriers through a shaman, like just by putting boost on it, but like the entire game, right? And so I felt like it helped you a lot more than it helped me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because you want to get those carriers out to continue your engine, but they do give you, like, the release of spores that you had that gave me that opening on that side when you move Kuldak and Monstrosity up. I was hoping you would move them both up instead of just like having Monstrosity hold the line. That just gave me an entrance into that pocket where I could just like keep sticking carriers on your carriers.
Yeah. I think that was probably where it all went downhill for me, is I moved Kuldak back up when I should have just kept them back. But I didn't feel great about what I would do from that position. Like,
yeah.
So it was like, well, if I die, I die. So I guess I was just hoping subconsciously you would just keep landing 1 out of 2s and that everything would be okay.
I did it for a while.
I was like, oh well, let me just pencil in some RNG and hope.
I have a slightly different question for both of you. The gates all came down fairly early. What were your both of you? What were your thoughts about where you positioned them? What was
Uh,
the reasoning?
well, I always love the A3 gate, like the very first gate I put. I think that creates I think it's super critical for Fungal Dwarves to have this too wide opening.
Mhm.
You'll see very easily in the game that I clog up my board like no other, and to reposition it takes a lot of moving things around, and you just can't do that with only a one wide gap. And so I like the early gate there so that I can kind of cycle units around Koldak without having to move him, and I can capture a lot of uh commons in my diamond without gate interfering. Because if you put Koldak to the left of the 8 gate, um, there's actually not a lot of interference in his movement. And then the last gate was just to kind of get something on the other side, but I didn't really use it much.
So it's just sort of it's there in my hand. I've no need to burn it for magic because I'm drowning in magic, but I'm going to put it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like the stim shroom play, you're not really too worried about summoning units with fungal dwarves. I feel like it's mostly a barrier to protect your ranged unit, so you want to have something they can get behind, and then you just walk up your beast and hit things and infect. I feel like it's not as critical in this kind of matchup. And then I just generally stick to like some guiding principles of you should have a gate kind of in every like middle, left, right side of your board, and then stagger them where you can just to maximize summoning spots. But nothing too crazy here. I never plan to send Kodok past the third row anyway, so I wasn't gonna do anything crazy aggressive because I know I'll for sure get blown up if I do that.
So what about you,
Yeah.
Aaron? Your gate, you drew two pretty early gates. What are your thoughts about placing them at the edges in the third row like that?
Yeah, I had two first turn gates, so I like to space out a little bit, but with Fallen Kingdom, the too wide, like Prophet was talking about, is not as important. And I wanted to crowd a little bit because me taking like the front of his gates and taking back like the front of my gates, that battle that we had was a very important access. So like with carriers, they don't have the attack value to infect everything. Like they can infect other carriers in this matchup. But a lot of the times you're going to need another attack on that unit to get the infect off. So I try and space my gates out wide so I can get other attacks either ranged or move in another unit so I can get those infects going. Or even if I'm not infecting, just to get another lane of attack off the side. But I didn't use my far left gate from my perspective that often because the game was concentrated in that main section and most of my gates were open. But I also moved Ratalis a lot this game, which I don't normally do, which was weird.
Mm.
I'm a big proponent, and this is not necessarily the best thing to do, of just sit Ratalis in the back row and never move him the entire game. So
Like a big immobile tree, almost.
big immobile tree, he just spits out mostly archers. I mostly spit out archers.
One question about the gate is, I feel like a popular gate that the first time I saw is the E3 gate. Like I saw it from Donkey. I
Yes.
never quite understand why it works, but it appears to work. Did you consider that, or why did you decide against it?
Like the double wide gate with the off
Yeah,
the main gate.
yeah. So it's just to the right of the main gate.
I never try and do double wide gates. It does work with some factions. I don't know. That just leaves a weird taste in my mouth, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I've done double wide gates as other factions, and it's been real bad for me. But it's not that bad as Fallen Kingdom. It can definitely work out for you well. But like
Yeah.
I've done double wide gates as Fungal Dwarves in my worst moments, and that's it's abysmal. It makes moving so hard. You just might as well forfeit then because you can't move anything anywhere.
I think I would do it if I think if you're a Fallen Kingdom and you're playing I don't know against Savannah Elves or anything with like crazy mobility, Red's health is super important. I think he mentioned he primarily uses it because archers can just teleport in front of the gates, and so he'll summon basically archers and teleport in front of it. But That's probably talking in like optimal situations. In reality, it kind of makes a lot of movement clunky, and it's good defensively if you're getting pressured hard, but um, it's kind of difficult to get units to the front lines from Red Talus if you do that. So it's like it's a trade off. If you think you're gonna die, then obviously do what you need to do. But it's not something I do a lot, but I have done it before.
It's
For
funny. I
sure.
think when I was new, I just saw it as the default. Like, I didn't know why, but when you see people doing it, you're like, okay, I don't have the faintest idea where to put my gates in the first place, so I'll just do what that person did.
Yeah, I think I defaulted to staggering because I was like thinking about it, and I was like, well, you get the most summoning spots from just staggering it a little bit. But I can see how if you think about them in terms of like walls, you kind of just want to line it up in a nice, pretty row.
For sure. Well, something else I want to just chat with you guys about, since I have both of you here and you both are Fungal Dwarves enthusiasts, is like, what is it about the Fungal Dwarves? You guys both have a reputation for having played these guys a lot. Like, what do you like about them? What do you not like about them? Like, what's going on with this really weird faction?
When I first found out about the this faction, it was like pretty early on. I don't think there was anything. I mean, I have always enjoyed Fallen Kingdom because I really like the theme of carriers infecting and causing more units. I've always been a very econ slash recursion player in any kind of game I play. So the whole theme of Fungal Doors really just kind of focusing and narrowing in on the recursion and the infect. It was really appealing to me. I think in a game where you're constantly riddled with RNG based decisions, it is nice to know that you can have a fallback plan and sort of, if you're patient enough, create enough value to like put yourself back into the game if it's just not working out. And I've always liked the idea of worst case is I can just sit back and kind of quote unquote farm boost in order to create stronger units and get them out there. And so I generally enjoy that kind of play style and being sort of more on the patient side. And I just think infect is my favorite mechanic in the game. I know some people might not like it, but I think it's just cool to like create zombie like mushroom like units and slowly populate the board.
I think for me, it was Kuldak's pretty face, but I mean, that might just be me.
He is a looker.
No, I mean, I remember we were talking the other day about how Prophet and I both started as like Fallen Kingdom players because we like that infect mechanism a lot, and we like the combo aspect. But then like Fungal Dwarves just take that a little bit further with the infect and a little bit back with the combos. They don't have as many combos. Simshrooms and Demand still feel combo-y at times, but nothing like a giant Pyre and Purge and Blood Summon. So I think it was just an easy step into Fungal Dwarves for me from Fallen Kingdom, which was my favorite deck from the Master set. So
Gotcha, for sure. And how has that evolved since? Like, how are you feeling about Cool Doc now? Like, another like 6, 10 factions since he was released.
It's like your first love of your life you never forget, but sometimes it's not a great relationship to have. I just don't bring Fungal Doors to tournaments anymore, and I think a part of it is like I think people are figuring it out. The weaknesses are pretty obvious, and the it seems like the meta has shifted towards I don't know, more mobile combo heavy factions with a strong range game. I think that's pretty meta, I would say, and that's pretty much Fungal Dwarves' primary weakness. And I feel like one of the biggest gripes I've had with Fallen Kingdom are still kind of present in Fungal Dwarves, and that is I know most decks are dependent on draw to some extent, but like decks that kind of focus on a specific theme in order to kind of really operate, it falls apart pretty heavily when you just can't draw the pieces you need. And it's like, like I was telling you earlier, like I drew 2 champions, Stim Shroom, and then also a Spore Release, right? 3 of those being completely useless. The 2 champions, and then Spore Release. And it just goes to the fact that you need to draw cards in a certain order in order for it to really be optimized. And sometimes that can leave a bad taste in your mouth when you feel like, oh, maybe I played as best as I could, but the reality just comes down to like I didn't have X, Y, or Z. So I feel like power level Cool Doc is still a pretty strong deck. It might not be like top tier. I think Aaron and I were discussing it maybe a week or two ago, but probably somewhere in the top quarter ish, maybe early at the top of the second quarter. But I feel like there's a lot of decks that can really close out a game a lot quicker and offer a lot of more surprises that it's just better in a competitive sense. So it's fun. I think thematically still my favorite, but it's harder and harder to keep justifying bringing it to tournaments because I feel like it's just people are figuring it out and it's not doing as well as I'd like.
Yeah, and I would echo all of that same sentiment, but a little teaser there for you. Prophet and I and Jaxic were all talking about it on an upcoming podcast episode that'll be Fungal Dwarves coming out at some point with Prophet as our faction expert.
Nice.
Yep.
And that's the Discard for Magic podcast. If anyone hasn't heard of it, it is always fun to listen to.
So that'll be coming in like 3 weeks, I think, is when we'll drop that one. But yeah, I think Kuldak has fallen a little out of favor for me too. I did say he was dead the other day, but he's still not a bad deck. Fungal Dwarves are still they're not weak by any means. They're just more middle of the pack, and it feels bad as Fungal Dwarves to play against like high movement factions, and that's part of why I stopped playing them. When you play against factions that can just like dance around and there's like no options for you, whether you're playing against sand goblins in the end game if they get a jump on you and get a head start, or you're playing against shadow elves in the end game, or like just some ranged options with breakers and they're just throwing you around and there's no option for you to really counter or like have a chance to press up. It's a tough matchup and can be pretty disheartening. But when they work, they're really fun. And there's a lot of matchups like this one that I think are still really, really fun to play. I know some people hate this matchup because they think it's always going to be a grind fest, but there can be some very explosive, quick matchups. I had one I played against Orange Lazarus a while back where I was Fungal Dwarves, and I pushed up just a bit too far. I think I was like even like at the midline, and I got punished real fast. And that game did not last a long time.
Yeah, I think, was it you, Fuzzy, that said you hated this matchup? I think it was a league matchup one time, and you're like, please, God, never again.
That probably was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've changed my tune about it. I think one of the things that I've had to adjust to is basically trying to take outside influences out of my enjoyment of specific games and specific matchups. And one of my things is I just feel clock pressure trying to finish up long games. And it's the problem with Crimson Order too. And I think personality-wise, I love these econ games, but I get a little bit clock crazy when it comes to, okay, is this eating out of the workday? Is this eating out of kids' time? Am I just going to, forfeit this on time? So it's one of those things that if you catch me when I'm feeling life stressed, then I hate these long games. If you catch me when I can kind of devote the gaming brain to these matchups that they deserve, then bring on, FD versus FK. And then, like I said on stream while we were commentating that there's this texture to these games where sometimes you have this carrier on carrier action for a long time. And you just have to let those turns breathe. You both play your part. You both kind of do your choreographed moves. And in the meantime, Koldak is building up boosts. Ret Talus is sculpting his hand. So, there's progress and there's stuff happening in the background. But I do think you have to be in the right state of mind to just play through those carrier on carrier turns and not get impatient and not just get in a headspace where it's like, I'm making no progress. I just need to attack something. I need to swing the blade and just use that warrior suboptimally and just feel like I'm getting something done. So I actually do have to pull myself out of, get something done. How many tasks can I check off today mode? But I wanted to, see this game on stream precisely because we're going to do it in 45 minutes. On a 45-minute timer. We're gonna finish the scuffle in 2 hours, come what may. So, let's just enjoy this for what it is, which is two crazy explosive, two crazy complex, thinky factions in a game that's pretty hard to predict, despite the fact that that carriers are gonna attack carriers for a while.
Yeah, I think you hit on a pretty interesting point there. There's a lot of sort of just going through the motions with this kind of matchup. In other matchups too, you'll find that like, hey, I have my 3 attacks. It's pretty simple, but there is typically a lot of background thinking that you kind of, if you want to advance your gameplay, you need to constantly be thinking about, okay, I can hit everything on the board right now without moving, but because I have the movements, I should probably start thinking about where I need to be next turn, the turn after that. And so you'll see, like, with my extra movements in the back, I'm just rearranging boost with Shaman. I had a Shaman, like, pinned down all the way in, like, the very back row, but, like, pinned by all units. And so I would move boost from that Shaman to, I don't know, Kuldak or another Shaman that could actually just move. And it's important to, like, know that you have 3 movements and 3 attacks. And while you may not need to do it every single turn, you kind of have to be working towards a goal. And my goal, for example, was, obviously position and optimize boost farming while at the same time, like, making sure I'm at least drawing 1 card because I need to kind of think about, like, do I have an assassination turn ready? And do I have the pieces for that? And I'm sure Aaron was doing the same thing too, sort of figuring out, which cards he needs for his combos. And so you'll see me just dropping units randomly on the board, like that mage in the corner, because I don't want to discard it. I don't need magic. I have a ton of magic, but I also need to draw. And so I'll just start putting units anywhere because I'm like, well, it's I just don't really need, I need the hand space. So I think that background work is kind of important in not just this matchup, but a lot of matchups. It's like thinking about, am I ready to, like, handle all sorts of situations next turn, even if this turn is pretty, by the books. So yeah, interesting point there.
No, I mean, that
Yeah,
hits the nail on the head of what, I'd love to pull back the curtain on is just when the game looks like you're just trading blows and just kind of whacking at each other mindlessly, to know that, you guys are thinking about, like cycling your hand and how to maximize those movements. If there's anything that, I think makes the game interesting for me, it's just really that behind the scenes undercurrent, that really separates players like you from, like, say, players, playing their first few games where what do? You roll, you attack, you move. What's fun about this? And the answer is that's fun about this. It's just these undercurrents of strategy.
yeah, I think for me in this game, what I was focusing on a lot with those, like, because I had many turns where I could have attacked with carriers from almost anywhere and gained more carriers. But really pinning those front 2 gate spots and protecting that warrior was some of my main focuses because I wanted to force profit into those channels to come up with the monstrosity. If I had to deal with it, I wanted to be able to attack it on 3 sides. And forcing him to come up with units in that way made it easier for me to infect them and easier to deal with them, and prevented him from dealing with my units as effectively.
So how did you feel about like the board state when during sort of the early mid game when what okay, here I'll rephrase the question. What was your thought process once that 5 boost beast showed up and you knew monstrosity was going to appear from behind that gate? Like, walk us through what your thought process was.
I texted Prophet, hello, Monstro, my old friend, when he dropped Monstrosity out the turn after. But I expected it from the get-go. I expected Monstrosity to come out. It comes out almost every time in this matchup. I wasn't surprised, and nor did I want to even try and get to that beast. I didn't have an option. I didn't have a way to get to that beast. But like, I expected there to be a point when Monstro is going to be summoned, especially because as soon as he got a shaman out early and had like 19 boosts, there's no way you're stopping Monstrosity with 19 boosts on a shaman. Like, it's impossible. So I didn't even worry about the Monstrosity play. I knew I could deal with it if I had to. It would make the econ real tight. But I wasn't worried about Monstro because I had planned on it from the beginning.
Were you a playtester during when Fungal Dwarves were being developed? I know you are now, but I don't know when you joined the playtesting group.
Yeah, I joined between when they were playtesting Phoenix Elves and Tundra Orcs.
So did they know at the time that monstrosity was going to become a a near every game staple, or at least a staple? Or did they think that it was going to be this kind of this rare occurrence that feels real good, like like that, like the ultimate blood summon chain type thing, but you wouldn't see it that often?
Prophet can probably speak to this also, because Prophet playtested this deck also. But for me, when I was like playtesting this deck, I was not as good with Fungal Dwarves. And I was very vocal saying that I didn't think Monstrosity was very common. And I was only getting Monstrosity out like 20% of the games, maybe. But there were other people in the community who were well aware of like how often Monstrosity could come out, and were planning on Monstrosity being a fairly regular occurrence. So it wasn't like it was unbeknownst to them. I just personally was like, I don't ever see Monstrosity. I don't think Monstrosity is that big of a deal either way because I can't play it.
I don't think Monstrosity is that bad. Like, I call it an alternative win condition in a way, because I mean the pure stats make it very difficult. But like, the lead up to get him out is actually kind of challenging. You need a beast with 5 boosts to live a turn, and generally those kind of things are not easy to do when you are neck and neck with units, right? I think in a game like this where you can just use all your infected carriers to kill the other carrier, it may, you have units to spare. But in other games where you end up starting your turn with only Kuldok, or maybe Kuldok in 1 unit, you're not going to really get a 5 boosted carrier within 1 turn. It takes like at least 2 to 3 turns. And then you're forced to like consider the risk here. Do I just summon a beast for 3 magic and then put 5 boost on him in a safe spot? That's a pretty hefty investment. That's practically, if you count the opportunity cost of the card, it's 4 magic plus 5 more boost on top of that. And then you have to hope that he's in the safe enough position. And then on the flip side, it is a nice kind of like payout that you can work towards. But the challenge of Monstrosity really is that he is literally unplayable unless you have those conditions. So he is actually just a dead card, whereas other champions, you can just flat out build up magic to summon him, which you can do at any turn if you really need him out. This card is more of like, well, I'm actually only playing with a hand of 4 instead of a hand of 5 until I get the pre-existing conditions, meanwhile juggling kind of the board state. So I feel like I used to not get him out as much because I've always found it a little bit difficult. But I think Aaron's convinced me over the course of seasons that monstrosity was pretty much an always try to play, and I kind of agree with that. I feel like he, in the most part, is your way out. Like, we always talk about, oh, Koldok can just fall back and farm, but like that really doesn't amount to much unless you have monstrosity. I mean, sure, you can put up some more beasts, and that's nice, but it's not really going to change a game you're losing. But monstrosity might just be the bulk you need to like push back, and it ends up being the culmination of your farming efforts, which makes it all meaningful at the end.
Yeah, Monstro feels like an ultimatum when people play him, but honestly, there's so many ways to play around monstrosity, and a lot of factions, especially the ones that like Fungal Dwarves do really poorly against, don't have that difficult a time dealing with monstrosity. So a lot of times I find myself, even if I get monstrosity out, still losing those games. If I'm already losing those games, it's a bit of like a win more card. Like in the games that you're doing really well, it's like the final nail in the coffin, and when you get monstrosity out. But in the games that you're struggling and you still somehow like get monstrosity out, it often doesn't. It helps for sure, but often it's not even enough to win those games. Like if I'm playing against Shadow Elves, I play monstrosity against Shadow Elves like almost every time, and I lose probably like 70% of those games, 60% of those games. Like it's still not a sure thing that you win when you get monstrosity out, which I think a lot of people don't always realize.
I mean, I think it's been a really fun and prolonged journey of discovery, figuring out Monstro. Like, I think that's why, and despite the fact that there have been distractions around Fungal Dwarves with all the timing changes and the errata and etc., I think this faction has just really had kind of a long life in terms of like you think you know everything about them, or you have this set of assumptions about like Monstro being the alternative win condition, that kind of thing, or Monstro is a rare treat, Monstro's an auto summon, and then it just changes on you, and then you're suddenly like, oh, you know what, I didn't have this faction fully figured out actually. So I feel like when the learning curve is prolonged like that, that's when I get excited. Like I don't want to figure out a faction in the first 2 weeks. Like I want that discovery process to last for months. And I feel like with Fungal Dwarves, it surprised me how much it stayed the course. I think the meta's changed a couple times with just subtle things like how far up do you advance Koldok? Do you place that forward gate and try to charge him forward? It changes with, the new factions that come out. Like you said, the more mobile factions have changed, again, how effective Koldok is in those situations. But it's just been kind of an interesting journey, even though I don't feel like I've played Fungal Dwarves a lot past the kind of the very early stages. It's been interesting to watch how the game and the perceptions around the faction have changed. Like, do you still think it has legs? It's
Yeah,
more.
I mean, I'm still learning things with Fungal Dwarves. I know I was talking to you about this, Fuzzy, the other day when we were helping another player with Fungal Dwarves, and I have been experimenting with like very aggressive Fungal Dwarf play. Like not like just cool back in the midfield, taking the midfield, but like up in your face from turn one, and not recommended for this matchup. Do not do that against the Fallen Kingdom.
You heard it here first, kids. Do not play aggro Koldok against Fallen Kingdom unless
But
you have a death wish.
I've been trying it against factions like Shadow Elves and against factions like Swamp Orcs, who already have such a leg up against like Fungal Dwarves in that matchup that the long game doesn't almost ever go Fungal Dwarves' way. And so I've been trying different ways of like, if I can get up in their face, if I have the cards right away, and you don't always have the cards for it, but if you have a Stim Shrooms right away, if you have a Gate right away, if you have those cards, if you have a Release Spores right away, if you have a couple of those cards, then you can get up close, take the summoning spots, and like put pressure on like Salundar with only 10 health. There's a good chance you can take that. I've found in my like 2 or 3 matches I've done it so far.
And also Worf, who you advised and who won that matchup in the Turtle Tournament. So
Yeah.
no,
Okay,
and actually that played out. Oh, go on.
No, I'm about to end things, so go.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock here. No, all good. That was pretty much the thought, that even though this is an old matchup, like it I haven't lost interest in these factions. There's just still something to learn, something to dig into.
Yeah, for sure.
I have one more 30-second question before we end. Like, what's new in Summoner Wars for you guys? Like, what's exciting? Like, what tournaments? Any tournaments? Playing games in person? New factions? Like, what's on your mind for Summoner Wars these days?
Tournaments. I think next one, actually, Aaron and I are doing. It's the first time I think we're on both the base and custom deck team together, but we are gonna do the team tournaments. I think
Oh yeah,
that's always been a great, fun, exciting thing for me. It keeps things fresh. I love team based things. It kind of really brings the community together, and you end up learning a ton when you're like discussing plays. And again, to Fuzzy's point, you're still figuring things out even after playing 2 or so years of the game. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that's a great tournament. I'm excited for the wonderful world of deck building. It has opened. I mean, with the new releases every season, I'm always in my head theory crafting. I haven't had a lot of time to put it to practice, but there's just a lot of different combos that gets me excited. I wake up every morning thinking about it. it so that's new in Summoners for me. I don't know about you, Aaron.
Yeah, similar. I'm excited for those team-based tournaments, the Shibata Bing, Shibata Boom tournament, number 8, I believe. And I just love the team-based aspect. It's one of the things that keeps bringing me back to the Shibata Bing, Shibata Boom tournaments. Is like you learn so much as playing a part of a team. There'll be like moves that I think I have a good option that I'll just like pose to my teammates just because I want to see what they like would recommend. I don't even always like take their advice. Like sometimes I decide that my option's like better, or like sometimes they convince me otherwise. But just having those conversations of other people giving you different like aspects and different thought processes that you wouldn't otherwise have really opens your eyes to like new plays and new ways to play factions and new ways to just take on all sorts of obstacles in the team. And the fun thing about the team is if you lose, you can still move on because your teammates are there to pick you up. So
Yeah, it helps
I'm
with the pressure.
actually playing that one for the first time, believe it or not. For how long I've been here, this is the first time the schedules have just kind of felt like they lined up.
Yeah, it's fun. I have a lot of fun. I think it's very unique. The first time I ever tried it, I was like, whoa, deck building tournament, that's not a thing, right? Like you only deck build and then hope you get somebody in public queue. But that's what first drew me. I think that's kind of when Aaron and I started playing together. We've been doing this it's our 4th tournament now, 5th tournament. I forgot how long.
4th tournament, yeah.
4th tournament, yeah.
Level 3 CPU and us. Level 3 had to drop out halfway through last tournament, but besides that, it's just been the 3 of us, and we're going for a 4th one.
Yep. We're defending the title.
Yep. So
Okay.
come
Very
take us
cool.
down in the deck building tournament. Somebody defeat us, please. We want to learn something from you.
All right, it's a challenge. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been a blast to see the game and get to chat with you. Any last words before we call this a wrap?
Nope, this was great. Thank you guys for hosting this. As always, I love the content. Keep doing what you're doing. Aaron, always a pleasure to get blown up by you. So
Yeah, appreciate you guys having us on. It was great fun. It's always a little weird playing just like in silence, and then you like hop in the voice chat afterwards. I'm always like, I just want to talk to somebody while I'm playing. I'm like just sitting there in silence, but
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah, this has been great. Summoner Scuffles, we're still doing bi-weekly, so you'll see us again in 2 weeks. There'll be another one, and who knows who we'll have on, somebody. And I'm actually gonna keep streaming now as well, so the stream won't go down. I got some async games to play, and if anyone's around in chat or otherwise that wants to play some live games, let me know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure to have it. Bye, guys.